Steve, another good workout against Championship opposition?
Yeah, good workout, good game. Yeah, good game. I think that obviously when they can, change the amount of bodies that they can change as well into that 60-minute mark, and all of a sudden put on another team, they can really damage you. But I thought our boys stood up to it really, really well. It was always going to be one of them games that, perhaps if we scored, we needed to score early-ish in the game, because I think once they bring in on almost a new team, then they're going to get stronger and have a little bit more zip about them. So, yeah, I thought it was a really good workout for our boys. Really, really pleased. Really pleased.
In very warm conditions as well.
Yeah, incredible today. I mean, I suppose we shouldn't moan about it too much, should we? We got young men who can run around, and the weather that we get in our country, we probably shouldn't moan about a bit of sunshine too much. So hopefully everybody around the country today has been safe, and yeah, it was a difficult run out in the temperatures, but it might be like that the first day of the season, mightn't it? So.
What about the way your team defended against a Championship side tonight to limit Cardiff to?
It wasn't just the way they defended. You've got to do that. We've got to have a base, obviously, because if you haven't got a base, then we've got nothing to work off. It wasn't just that. There was some other good bits of interchange in play and balls that we've put across their box. Certainly early on in the game, and Julian Da Costa's fired one across. I think Shippers has fired one across. So yeah, it's not just defense. We don't really want to be like that. It'd be nice to be attacking all the time, but you can't be, and especially when you play teams upper level like we've played. But we've had a good few moments in the Burnley game and a good few moments in this game, and we're certainly further on than we were when we started off against Telford, which was only a week ago, and we just had 3 games crammed into that week as well, which you don't normally get in pre-season. But I wanted to put them under stress and duress. I wanted to do that, which is why we put those friendlies in where it was tight. So normally you'd go Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday. You only benefit from that following Tuesday when you play on a Friday night, but you don't necessarily benefit on the Friday night when you've got to chase Burnley around out here. So they've had a real tough week, the lads. That's not just those games. There's training on top of it as well, and they've trained really, really well, like they always do. And yeah, we're pleased at where they're at.
And what about that save late on from Marco Morosi?
Yeah, what about the 2 he kicked out of play 20 minutes before it? Let's talk about them. The saves he can make, but he's got to stop trying to get that 1 inch perfect out to us. But it's what Marco's done since we brought him in the club. He's been an excellent signing. He's a great lad. Fits in the dressing room very, very well. Sometimes he'll do some eccentric things, but without that eccentric part of him, he doesn't make that save at the end. And to be honest, all the Shrewsbury fans in here tonight and yourselves, you won't be surprised that he's made it, because you've seen it before. So yeah, he's been an important signing for us.
Adrian O'Brien, you spoke about after the Burnley game on Friday night, not involved again this evening. No Daniel Udo either this evening. What's the latest with those two?
Okay, and we start with Elliot Bennett. So Elliot Bennett's had his operation. He'll be on crutches for 2 weeks. We know that. So we won't be seeing him yet, but the operation went well on his ankle. So hopefully now, the worst part about it is, I suppose we could have done this at the end of the season, but if specialists are not wanting to do that, they want to try other things first, which is rest, recuperation, building it up, trying to be strong on it, running, twisting, turning, breaking down, then all of a sudden having injections. We've had to go through a process. There's no blame attached to anyone here, nothing to Elliot, nothing to the physio. He can't do any more. So that's Elliot, but hopefully now what's been done, hopefully he's now going to be out the other end. And after that 2 weeks, he could come back quite quickly. But I don't want to put that pressure on him. But if the operation is successful, which the surgeon is very, very happy with. Who knows? Daniel Udoh, he had a little bit of an ankle problem throughout pre-season. He's got that niggle from the back end of last season. We've had it scanned. It just shows up a little bit of tendinopathy in and around his ankle. Doesn't show up anything else. He had a block shot against Telford, which flared it up a little bit. He's had it injected. We've had him re-scanned, so there shows a little bit of inflammation around it. Not anything major, but enough where we don't need to play Dan Udoh tonight. So he's a fit boy, so we'll just have to wait and see how he is for the first game of the season. We'll have to wait and see how he is. In the meantime, he can carry on doing training, and he has got an appointment to see another specialist a week tomorrow, next Wednesday. So that's the latest on Dan. Adrian O'Brien, he's got a little bit of tendonitis on the higher part of his groin by his hip. First of all, we had him scanned yesterday because we didn't know whether he'd had a hernia or something like that. No hernia. So he's got a little bit of tendonitis up by his hip flexor. I don't quite know the intricacies of it, but nothing needs doing. There is no operation. He's just got to settle down, and hopefully he'll be okay then, and we can resume training with him. In the meantime, him and Dan Udoh, what they'll have to do is they just have to get on the watt bike and keep their heart and lung rate up and their leg strength. So that's the rundown on all of them.
Okay. You've been working hard all through pre-season. The next game is Morecambe.
Well, we'll have another practice match.
I was going to say, is there any more?
Yeah, we'll have another practice
planned
match, but that one we're going to just do behind closed doors. So we will have another game.
Will it be an internal one? Or?
Yeah, an internal one. Yeah, we will have another game. So we'll definitely be doing that. What I just need to do is I need to look at the numbers from tonight's game, and we'll decide whether that'll be Friday or Saturday, just because of the week they've had. I don't quite know where we're going to be on all of the numbers at the moment, which is why Julian Da Costa came off, because we know as a wing back the numbers are quite high, and his will be quite high as well. So just all of that. The numbers this week have been really, really good. Really, really good. Delighted with that.
And finally for me, Steve, in terms of potential additions, any developments there?
No. Haven't you had enough? Haven't you had enough that you don't need to keep asking me about them? No, as I've said before, nothing to change on that. So I honestly wouldn't. I suppose you've got to ask, haven't you, really? But you're wasting your breath tonight, Stu. There's nothing else to tell you on any of that. We're still looking, we're still waiting, and the one when we're waiting, it's not like all of a sudden we're waiting and we're going to get him or not get him. The answer to that is I don't know. I absolutely don't know. There will be other people that will be in the mix on the one we're waiting on, because they just will. They just will, and we might win it and we might not win it. But that doesn't mean to say we're waiting on that one without looking elsewhere.
Thanks as always, Steve.
Pleasure.
Hi, Steve. I realised the other night we'd forgot to mention Tom Flanagan, who obviously missed that game but came through tonight. So he's recovered. He's okay. Is he?
Yeah, he's. We could have played probably Dan Udoh tonight.
Yeah.
We could have probably played him. I don't think it would have done him any favours, but we could have played him tonight. Tom Flanagan, we probably couldn't have played the other night. When Tom played, the pitch at Telford is hard. It's really firm, the pitch at Telford. We thought it last year, and it's really firm this year. And Tom felt it in that game. So we didn't need to play him out there against Burnley, where he's going to have to run around the pitch and potentially pull a calf or something like that. So his experience told him and told me, we leave him out of that one, he's okay for this one. So he's trained for 2 days and played tonight. So the Burnley game was just too early for him after Telford, really.
appreciate you spoke to Stu there about tonight's game, Cardiff, and we spoke about Burnley the other night. But facing both, two top quality Championship clubs, different obviously scenarios to the games, I guess. But are you pleased overall with those two really stern tests and what you've seen from your side overall?
Yeah, of course I am. I'm really pleased with them. I'm really pleased with where they are in pre-season. But it doesn't mean anything. Pre-season, it absolutely doesn't mean anything. You can think, yes, we're great, and then all of a sudden, first game of the season, you come crashing back down to earth with a bump, or you can go through pre-season and you can worry yourself and think, God, are we going to be right? Where are we? At the moment, we're a work in progress. We're on course with where we are, fitness-wise. I think Taylor Moore getting 90 minutes tonight. If you want to look at a few individuals, I mean, on 76 minutes, I could have took him off again when his recovery run wasn't a sprint. But after that, 80 minutes, his recovery run was a sprint. So sometimes, a few of the boys that have come in, they haven't been used to hitting them 90 minutes marks. Wherever they are and wherever they've come from, if you look back through, they haven't been hitting 90 minutes or they haven't been hitting 40 or 50 games. So there's part of that adjustment that the present players need to help them with.
Yeah.
A lot of them know where we are standards-wise. I think that probably the boys that have come in afterwards, I think they're slightly behind the boys that are already here, because the boys that are already here have already had a really good off-season programme. That off-season programme is absolutely vital. It's 12 months of the year being a professional footballer now, and I think some of them have probably come in and thought, wow. I mean, when you probably get to speak to a few of them, you hear bits and bobs around the dressing room that some of them think this has been the hardest pre-season they've ever had, whereas the boys already in here said that last year.
Yeah.
So pre-season, it's meant to be hard. You're meant to really overload them with everything, and they've had that, and they've been brilliant. They've been great. The new boys have been great, and the boys that have come in, they fitted in really, really well. And I definitely think there's an improvement in the performances and the relationships in that period of time, and it will only grow again, hopefully throughout the season.
You mentioned Taylor just then. I was actually going to ask you about a couple of individuals, if you didn't mind, and he was one of them. I guess obviously coming from Bristol City, we've heard he's a defender, but can play various roles, and we've seen him sort of defensive midfield a couple of times.
That wasn't the reason for him coming here. He was coming here as a central midfield player.
Okay.
Because Taylor can do two positions for us. That's vital with our budget. Absolutely vital. And I think that Taylor hasn't perhaps quite fulfilled his potential in the Championship at centre-back. So somewhere along the line, something has to change. And I've spoken to him numerous times over the summer. We've met, we've discussed this. I mean, he started as a central midfield player. So it's not foreign to him that. It's not all of a sudden we've stuck a centre-back in midfield. He was coming here. I signed him to come here as a central midfield player. And you need somebody that can look after the space in front of that back three. You need somebody to do that. They haven't got to be the best footballer. They haven't got to be silky. That's not to say silky. He might not be silky, but he's a good footballer. Yeah. And when he starts getting his angles right, I think there's been a huge improvement in him tonight to the first game he played for us. And if you look at the opposition and take that on board, the improvement is probably bigger than we could have all hoped. He's a great lad. He's a good footballer, and he will settle down there. And you need that someone that's going to stay there. And when you look at our midfielders, Shippers runs hard, Bayliss runs hard, Leahy runs hard, but really haven't really got too much defensive side of them in the game. They all want to shoot off, and we need somebody to look after that area, because there's 2 or 3 central midfield players that still haven't moved into other clubs at this moment in time, but they will go definitely to bigger clubs. And if you look at the moment, everybody wants that Kante that sits in front of the back four, that mops up, that asks nice little tidy passes. And I think he done that tonight. I think he did that tonight. I think he played in front of the back three. I think he bounced balls when he needed to bounce them. He played a couple of balls round the corner into the striker that we've worked on. So, I think he'll grow into the role. And when he gets fitter, that will help him, because his fitness is down. And when he's changing position, he's going to find it even harder. But he's a great kid. But we'd already discussed this. So he's a work in progress in that area.
Before half time, he played a great round the corner for Da Costa, didn't he? I noticed him. Julian was the other player I was going to ask you about.
He's done it 3 or 4 times probably tonight.
Yeah.
If you think about that one, he did that one. He did one with a bigger one that Bowman got onto.
Yeah.
He did it again in the second half over that side. So, yeah. And Julian Da Costa, Julian just took Jules off. Jules had a bad tackle over the far side against Burnley.
Yeah.
He had a bad tackle there, and we weren't quite sure. Jules had to go for an X-ray because we weren't quite sure where he was, because he couldn't weight bear or anything the following day, and we thought, oh no, has he got a fracture? Thankfully he didn't, and played tonight. But he's another great lad. We've been after him for a little while.
Yeah.
And thankfully we've got him now.
I know it's only a very brief snapshot, but we're seeing, very happy bombing forward, aren't we? Some excellent delivery we've seen from him already. And I think he defended well against Burnley as well. So, overall you must be sort of chuffed with how he's settled. I'm
pleased with all of them.
Yeah.
But Julian's come in, so, because he runs and he's quick and he's aggressive and everybody will notice him very quickly. And the only thing I wish we could have got him a year ago when we were in for him, and then he would have took some of the weight off of Elliot Bennett. So it's quite good now that we've got 2 or 3 players that can play in those wing back areas. With Elliot, that hopefully now won't be too long. Julian Da Costa, Raquel Pike's played well when he's gone out there. On the other side, we've got Nursey, we've got Luke Leahy, we've got Ships who can play out there. So there'll be times throughout the season where I'm sure they're all going to be used in those areas, because that wing back role is very demanding.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Just one more, if you don't mind. Do you envisage much more in terms of a loan market? You've got a couple in on loan, haven't you? And I know they can typically happen.
There's hardly any free transfers left anyway now.
Right.
So we've got to a stage of the season where we're probably thinking about loans, which is why you never quite know and why you're always quite waiting. So you've got 2 things left now. You either buy or you loan, because a lot of the free transfers are, they're gobbled up by now. And we've done great with ours. When you look at our team, you look at that team out there tonight. Free transfer Marco Morosi, free transfer Pennington, free transfer Dunkley, free transfer Flanagan, free transfer Nursey, Da Costa on loan, free transfer Luke Leahy, on loan Taylor Moore, Bayliss, free transfer. Ships we had to pay a small fee for. Bowman we had to pay a small fee for. We've probably put together a team, an outlay, for what we probably bought. I don't know. Who's the record buy here?
Going back, Stu, isn't it? Grant Holt.
How much was he for?
170.
Oh, we got change then. we got change.
Yeah.
But it's been hard work, but I don't think we've done too bad with what we've put together.
Great. Thanks for your time, Steve.
All right.
Great.